Hey, how's everybody doing? So I put together this solo, and it's using some dominant seventh triads. And I know you're going to say, well, a dominant seventh chord, any extension or embellishment has to have four tones. I get that, but some of these some of these shapes I'm going to show you, and there's not that many I'm going to show you tonight or today, whatever time it may be, wherever you're at, um, are just going to be mainly on the E, B, and G string up here. Um, you're going to hear, if you listen to Stevie Ray Vaughan or a lot of blues players, they'll use those shapes to create sometimes tensions or emotion. So Stevie was so great at that. But these shapes, I'm going to play them as a triad, and sometimes it's not going to have the root note in the triad. It's just going to be the root, not the root. Excuse me. It's going to be the third, the fifth, and the seventh. You have to have the four notes, I understand, to make a seventh chord. You have to have the root, the third, the fifth, and the flatted seventh for a dominant seventh chord. So we're going to leave out the root, and we're just going to play them as triads. So let me show you the shapes I'm talking about. It's going to be in the key of G. So you're going to be playing this shape here, and this is on the G, B, and E string again. First finger is going to be on the 6th fret of the B string. Second finger is going to be on the 7th fret of the G string. And your third finger is going to be on the 7th fret of the high E string. There's no root there. There's the 5th, that's the dominant 7th, and that's the 3rd. But let me play this against this chord. You'll hear how it sounds. So that works. So the next shape is going to be up here, and now we're going to have the root, but we're going to be leaving out the third. So we're going to have our second finger is going to be on the 10th fret of the G string, which is the 7th. Then our first finger is going to be the 8th fret of the B string, which is the root note. Then our third finger is going to be on the 10th fret of the high E string, which will be the 5th. So let me play that shape against this chord here. So sounds good, right? And the reason I'm showing you is you can use these instead of playing a G7 down here or a G7 here or a G7 here. You know, sometimes just use a simple triad, and it sounds so much better when you're playing rhythm. And you can actually play off of these rhythms. Off of these chords, these triads. So the last shape goes up here, and you're going to place your first finger on the 12th fret of the G string, excuse me. Then you're going to flatten it over the 12th fret of the B string. Then you're going to take your second finger and play on the 13th fret of the high E string. So now you have the root, the third, and the 7th. There's no 5th in that triad. So you need to learn these in all the keys that you can learn it in. Just take those shapes. So in C it would be, or you could play it down here. that. Those up here. But let's keep it on 3 strings. And then when you went to the D chord, it'd be. So if you don't know those triad shapes of this dominant seventh, these dominant seventh chord shapes, try to get them down. Again, any kind of triad you can learn will help you know your neck better. It'll also help you. It's like a road map. You know, you look at and see these shapes when you're playing. So I put together this little solo, and I'm going to teach you how to play it here. And it's going to be using these shapes, so it kind of will get you, you know, using these little triad shapes in this solo. So let me play. I'm going to teach it to you. So here we go. The first riff's coming up. Okay, so we start off. Start here with the bend on the 5th fret of the G string. And you pull off up to the 5th fret of the D string with your 3rd finger. Then you roll it down to the 5th fret of the G string, then roll it back up, then do the hammer on from the 3rd to the 4th fret on the G string with your 1st and 2nd fingers. So I'm going to play it real slow. Then you come up here and you do this little diad double stop lick. That's with your 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the D string. Your 3rd finger is on the 3rd fret of the G string. You hit it and slide up a half step. So we got. Then you come up here and do this dominant 7th triad. And that's played by you're sliding a half step into it. So your 1st finger's on the 5th fret of the B string, your 2nd finger's on the 6th fret of the G string, your 3rd finger's on the 6th fret of the high E string, hit it and slide. So let me play that much again. So then you come back and you repeat that first lick again. Except this time, instead of hitting this dominant 7th triad, you come up and hit this one and slide into it. So that's played with your 1st finger on the 7th fret of the B string, 1st finger on the 7th fret of the B string, 2nd finger on the 9th fret of the G string, your 3rd finger on the 9th fret of the high E string. Then you just hit it, slide up a half step. So let me play up to there. Okay, so at this point you're going to the 4 chord. We're in the key of G. So now you're going to the C chord. So you do the same lick in C. Do the same exact lick, except you're up here on the 10th fret. You bend on the 10th fret of the G string with your 3rd finger. Pull off. Then you 10th fret of the D string. Roll it up and then roll it back. Then to do the hammer on. So we got. Then you do the little triad, dominant 7th triad in C. So now your first finger's on the 10th fret of the B string, second finger's on the 11th fret of the G string, and your third finger's on the 11th fret of the high E string. Hit those three strings and slide up a half step, and then you come up and slide, do the next triad, and you come here, first finger's on the 12th fret of the B string, second finger's on the 14th fret of the G string, and your first finger's on the 14th fret of the high E string. Hit that and slide. So it's, my bad. And then you come back down here and repeat that same lick that we started with. And you do that same little dyad right there, that slide there. Except, and then you come up here and do this slide on this shape. Let me play up to that point so you know, so we kind of know where we're at. Okay, so when it goes back to the G, it goes. It does this slide here. So your first finger is barred across the 11th fret of the G and B string, and then their third finger's on the 12th fret of the high E string, and you hit that and slide up a half step. So it's. Okay, so let me play up to that point. I'm going to put a little grid on my sound here. That's a little better. Alright, so here we go. So there I did, on the 5 chord I did. Which is basically a, it's the 9th. I'm using the chord tones from a D9th. So those are that's the chord tones of a D dominant 9th chord. So it's, so I'm doing a hammer-on pull-off on the from the 10th to the 12th fret with your first and third finger on the high E string. Then going to the 13th fret of the B string with my third finger. Back up to the 10th fret of the high E string, first finger. Then I'm doing going to the 13th fret of the B string, pulling off there down to the, that's with the third finger, pulling off down to the 10th fret with the first finger on the B string. Then end up hitting here on the 11th fret of the G string with my second finger. Then 10th fret, first finger on the B string, 11th fret on the G string, second finger, 12th fret on the D string with my third finger, down to the 10th fret of the D string with my third finger. So that goes, my bad. Hopefully that's what I played. So that's played. Do a whole step bend, pull off, up to the, that's on the 10th fret of the D string, third finger, pull off down to the 8th fret, up to the 10th fret of the A string with your third finger, roll back up here to this 10th fret of the A string, back down to the 8th fret of the D string with my first finger. Then I chromatically go down from the 10th fret on the A string. Goes 10, 9, so it's and then what did I play? I can't remember the last lick. Let me see if I can find a copy of it here. Oh, sorry about this. Okay, let me get the last lick here. I want to listen to it once. Okay. So that's a whole step bend on the 8th fret of the high E string with your third finger. And you're releasing it, you hit it. Then you come back down here to the 6th fret of the high E string with your first finger. Then you go back up to the 8th fret, third finger. Then you come back down to the 6th fret, first finger. Then you hit twice on the B string on the 8th fret with your third finger. Put some good vibrato on that last note. So let me play along with this recording I made. And, you know, I put this together so you can get used to playing these, you know, these dominant 7th triads that I'm, you know, showing you. And you should translate those if you know how to do it. Translate those into all the keys that you play in. Learn all those shapes, and you know, like in the key of G, C, you know, A, E. Learn all those shapes, and use them when you're playing chords and vamping over a chord. You know, instead of playing a full bar chord or something, just use simple triads, and they add a lot. It's kind of crazy how less adds more, but it does. You know, so let me see if I can. Play along with this recording here. Well, that didn't go off real good. Let me start over. Okay, here we go. close enough. So anyway, put together this little solo, but the main purpose of this lesson today was to learn those triad shapes of the dominant seventh chords. And again, put them into all the keys you play, all those shapes. And start using them. That's the thing you got to do. Knowing them is one thing, but using them is another thing. So try to put them into practice. Take a 1-4-5 progression and just sit there and use those chords, those chord shapes, those simple triads. All right, well, listen, hope you enjoyed this lesson, and until next time, y'all be blessed. And if you like the channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and the bell. And hope to see y'all soon. And again, God bless. Have a great evening. See you soon.